We must kill more and more! We are not killing enough!
You're listening
To the podcast.
Killing Robots.
This is Killing Robots episode 6.
Can I just ask before
Yeah.
we go or as we go?
I mean, I was going to introduce you, but
We can do that.
go ahead. Ask your question.
Killing robots?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, great. You have no idea what that means.
No.
Great.
In my calendars, I put breakfast with Kyle, then murder with robots. Because I lost what it was. What is killing robots though?
Yeah, we don't
We
know. We don't know.
Perfect.
We do, sort of.
We just preached a sermon series on it, actually.
We did.
Okay, sorry.
We did a whole series on killing robots. The premise is, I'll give you the premise, and this is all new material. We're still like working this out.
Right.
Obviously, we're not afraid to put it on the internet, but we're just working it out.
No one checks anything on the internet.
Totally.
Yeah.
The premise is that when you are under the rule and control of sin,
Yep.
the flesh,
Yeah.
drawing heavily from the book of Romans.
Yep.
Obviously, robots weren't invented in the first century, but, or maybe they were. We don't know.
Pyramid showed us a lot.
Absolutely. But the premise is that when you're under the control of sin, it essentially turns you into something like a robot.
That's good.
You know, like Romans 7, it's like when so when I do the thing I don't want to do, it's no longer I who's doing it, but the sin nature in
Yeah.
me. And this whole thing, and then like you get to Romans
That's
12,
good.
and it's like don't be conformed,
Right.
be transformed. So sin is conformity.
Yeah.
Sin is conforming to the pattern of the world, but life under the Spirit is being transformed in the image of Christ. So it's like, so the whole premise of the sermon series we did, Killing Robots, is how following Jesus makes you more human.
That's awesome. I like it.
And then here we attempt to kill it's just like we're killing the flesh, you know?
Kill it, baby.
That's what we're doing.
love
So
it.
murder, that is the correct
Murder.
Yes.
correct thing.
Breakfast
from-
and murder.
Right.
Yes,
Speaking
breakfast
show.
and murder.
Yeah. Now, was that on your calendar for today or yesterday, Wes?
It might have been yesterday. Yeah.
You know, I wasn't going to bring this up because we literally just met about 2 minutes ago. But I actually wore a button-up yesterday in
Oh, wow.
preparation to meet you.
Diamond.
But I only have one button-up in me per week.
Yeah,
So,
that's about all you can
I'm-
do,
now
especially in
I've-
the summer. That's better. That fits your workspace more.
Now I'm Star Wars,
does.
yeah.
It does.
I like it.
It's
So,
personality. But that's okay.
Sorry about yesterday.
It's fine. I mean, we can get into it. You can tell us about it. You can tell us what
I'd
happened.
rather not.
Oh, okay.
great. I also wanted to razz you a little bit just about your car.
Yeah, everyone razzes me about my car. I don't know what the deal is. I do drive a Fiat 500 pop manual. It's a great car. I love my car.
I think maybe the reason why people razz you about it is because I think it's probably the smallest car I've ever seen on the streets.
That's
And
incorrect.
You might be the tallest human I've ever seen.
It's
on
the
the
fourth
streets.
smallest car on the street. And for its size, it's the safest car in a head-on collision.
Oh, great.
I don't know what happens if you get hit from the side. There's like 32 airbags in my car.
Wow.
I don't know what happens to me when they go off, but they're in there, so
You're nice and safe in that little
Well,
tin can.
yeah.
Good to know. Unless, of course, the car just drives right over your car, which
Or
might
if
happen if it's
a
lifted.
medium-sized dog hits me from the side, I think I'm
Yeah.
pretty much toast. But
Or
yes.
yeah, right. Or if it's anything, you know, the size of a Camry or above, you're in trouble.
Yeah, big enough truck, I think I'm fine. I'm
Okay.
just gonna go straight on, like learn from the Titanic.
Okay,
Throw the seat back, hit it straight on,
Oh, I see.
underneath.
underneath. Yeah.
Like Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious, Italian Job. It's been done. It's been
Now,
proven on many levels.
what if you hit another Fiat?
Oh,
Is it just like, I feel like the space
I
time
think life glitches out.
Totally.
Yeah, we're in the end game now.
yeah,
absolutely.
totally.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about the end game. So, yeah.
Okay, this is episode 6. So I'm Kyle. This is Chaz. Together we are known as the Child occasionally.
We're starting a new segment today.
Yes.
That's good.
That we're very excited about. I think this is the potential to be our best episode yet.
Ooh.
Because we're getting some, it's gonna be more interesting because it's more than just the talking head of the Chile. So this new segment is called Chats with Chile.
I like that.
Chats with Chile.
Chat in between two childs.
Yep. Well,
Absolutely.
actually, you're in between one child because together, my
Back
name
to the
isn't
Fiat,
child.
I'm
And,
Fiat.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a Wes sandwich on Chile bread.
That's good.
Okay. Anyway, so this is my friend Wes. He's mystery guest number 1 on Chats with Chile.
How many people said no?
That's not important.
You're the you. Oh, okay. Oh,
I'm glad to be
Yeah.
first guest.
You're the first person we asked.
Wow.
In all seriousness,
That
you know,
means a lot.
totally.
Appreciate that.
We wanted someone who's like people wouldn't know.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
That's me.
Well, I don't mean.
We wanted a loser that had no life.
This is like my.
So literally, we just found Wes on the street.
Yeah.
We brought him in. No, so Wes is a friend of mine. We go way back to Multnomah Bible College days.
Yes.
That is where we first met. We did not know each other super well. We had some mutual connections that are strange.
We did. Do you remember the first time we met? I was thinking about this.
The very first time, I don't know. I don't.
It wasn't memorable. I don't
I don't-
remember. I can't come with it either.
I have some very specific memories
Same.
of you at Multnomah.
Yes.
But here's the thing about Wes. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but you're like the guy that our lives just keep running into each other
true.
in some very weird ways.
Random ways.
Kind of trips me out a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other super well in college. You
No.
were
Were you guys in the same
No.
grade-ish?
no, he was
Okay.
he was ahead. I don't think he used grades and
I don't know how
it's,
college
it's
works.
more like class, but that's okay.
I've never even seen a college, so I don't know what happens in there. It's
14th grade.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Ish. We met.
Same grade.
Homeroom.
I
Mutual
have
friends.
I have some. We played one day. We played catch out on the field.
You were there for that.
Yeah, because you're a baseball guy,
Yeah, I do love baseball. Yeah.
and you can throw hard.
You guys were just out there just throwing a baseball around?
it was
well-
Tristan Norris was out there.
Yeah,
I
We
bet
don't
he
use
watches.
names on
Hey
this.
Tristan,
We don't use.
I bet
we,
he
don't, we
watches.
don't use names. No, I'm just kidding.
he might.
That
watch.
was sorry, Joe Friday.
Tristan,
Dun,
Brian,
dun.
maybe my brother-in-law.
Zellers. Yeah, your brother.
Andrew Zellers was probably there. Maybe.
Did you stand in when
Anyway.
I pitched?
Well, yeah, I wanted to. I said because you told me you were a pitcher
Yes.
and you could throw pretty hard. I was like, I want to experience it.
That's right. And you stood in.
I did. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing like 85 maybe.
Oh, I doubt it, but that's kind of you to say.
It
Yeah.
felt like that. It was it was kind of hard. Like the ball was going so fast, I kind of had to just guess where it was going to be and hope it wasn't my face.
Did you ever hit the
about
ball?
No,
it was
we were just catch.
simulated.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The things you do in college, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than froth and
Yeah.
ultimate frisbee. There's catch and
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
So then I had you over, you and your wife Amanda.
That was one of my first memories. Yes.
Yeah, over for dinner.
I think we're the first people to have us over. So thank
that's
you.
awesome.
And other guy unnamed.
Russell, my
Russell.
roommate,
Yeah.
my good friend and roommate Russell. Yeah.
Yep.
So we had you guys over,
Because you played Rook.
and this was like the first of the crazy connections. Was Rook's
Uh-huh.
kind of this weird game. There's so many different ways to play it, but
Yeah.
you played it exactly the way that I
Play the
played
bird
it.
low, baby.
Which I'd never met
Right.
anyone. Anyway.
Wow.
So, and then like 5 years ago, you randomly showed up to Grace City Church.
Yeah, when you guys are where you are now in the pack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had just been hired.
Yep, you've just been hired. I think I Facebook messaged you, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and Carrie was, super influential in my life, and so I was trying to connect with him, and then bumped into you. And
Yeah. And you were in Arizona at the time.
Arizona at the time visiting, yeah.
And then I do remember we connected in Portland a few years ago, I think for Brian's birthday party.
Yes, that's right.
And
Yeah.
then last fall sometime,
Yep.
you texted me and said, "Hey, I live in Wenatchee now."
Yep.
Wow.
It's awesome.
What a
Took me
journey.
to, good restaurant over there, half price burgers. It's fantastic. Yeah, so here we are. It's crazy. Ministry makes the world small, so
Yeah.
It's good, yes. I was remembering back, you said we have 50 minutes, so I was thinking one of my first memories was when you had us over for dinner and we played Rook. And then the other time, I don't know if you remember this, we were, Multnomah would rent out the Lloyd Center ice skating rink and they'd do broom ball.
Oh yeah.
It was my favorite thing all year. But you were in our group. It was like you, Andrew, Brian, and I really wanted to play broom ball, and you wanted to study. I was like, we can study another time, and you said, no, I have this assignment, it has to get done. And somehow I convinced all of us to go for an hour, and we were there the whole time. And so you were a little annoyed that we had been gone so long because you rode with us, and we came back. And you were just in the group. We were in my apartment.
Okay.
Our apartment. You were working. And Andrew was in it about a good 8-10 minutes of hard work. And then he'd found a YouTube video of these two guys who had taken a lion somehow, a baby lion, Christian the lion. You remember this?
I do not.
These two guys.
This is amazing.
Took this baby lion and they raised it, and then for years, and then it's this weird home videos. Then they released it into the wild, and then a couple years later, it's all grown, married now, and kids, and they go into the wild and they like touch it, and these wild lions come down and they're like in the pack.
Oh my god!
And so I'm obviously drawn in. I've forgotten all about my work. You're watching it because it's right there on the table. It finishes, and you just go, "That's just wrong." And back to your work. I was like, who cares about a lion being domesticated? But you apparently did. And
wow.
There you go. That was one of my earliest memories of you.
That's just wrong.
It sticks out.
Definitive.
That's just wrong.
Definitive statement.
Yeah.
You
So
don't mess with lions.
you don't mess with lions. or bears.
Wow.
That's where Kyle draws the lines.
That's okay.
Doesn't come over.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So
That's
multifaceted,
amazing.
yeah.
That is an amazing memory.
That's pretty good.
I do remember that video now that you say it, but I do not remember that context. That's
there was a
incredible.
lot. There was a lot of awkward tension the rest of the night, but yeah, strong
Kyle was
beliefs.
just not happy.
Yeah.
Playing broom ball, lions. He's just like,
We did ruin your whole night. Yeah,
Worst night of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worst night of your life. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us. So Chaz does not know you.
this
Very
is
well.
very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've known each other for about as long as this podcast has been going.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
great.
It's been really, I think
we
we're
should do it again.
closer. I think we're getting to know each other on a deeper level.
Blessed.
Well,
Yeah.
no.
So we wanted you to just tell us your story.
Oh wow.
You know, maybe not the whole. Don't take
Yeah.
up the whole time,
Well,
but if you could give us like the, you know,
one
What do
night
they say in
December.
the ministry world? Give us the 40,000 foot flyover.
give us the.
Is that what they say in the ministry world?
My pastor says it all the time. So.
All right.
We're gonna. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the shortened version. Wes, born and raised in a little
Quick
place.
interruption. Is your real name Wesley?
Yes.
Okay, just
But it's hard
checking.
for me to say. I slur my own name, so I go by Wes.
Okay.
Except at Taco Bell, I go by West because they get it wrong 1,000% of the time.
This is gonna be good for later.
Yes, and so I grew up in Big Lake, Washington, outside of Mount Vernon. It's not even a town, it's just there. It's super small. So it's small. I grew up homeschooled. No diss on homeschooling, but I feel like if you are homeschooled, you're allowed certain liberties to say about homeschooling, which I might save until later. But
Yes.
I'm painting this picture. So small, homeschooled. I shared a driveway with a country church, and so it's really easy to give directions. Not that anyone was coming to my house, but I grew up in the woods, literally surrounded by hundreds of acres of woods, and I did Hooked on Phonics back in the day. You guys don't know what that is?
Oh,
but
I know
do.
what that is.
I do.
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Hooked
Yes.
on Phonics worked for me,
It
baby.
did not for me.
Can't say your own name still.
Can't. Letters are hard. So I did that, and then in high school, and I played baseball this whole time, right? So that's how I like connected with people apparently. So I was playing baseball, and then in high school, I got past the point. I wasn't smart, but I was past the point of like my parents being able to teach me. And so one day I was getting towards like the start of school, and these boxes of videos showed up from Pensacola, Florida. Apparently there's a Christian academy in Pensacola. And my parents had bought an entire 4 years of school on VHS, which is very different than what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So there's some things that happened in our family. All that to say, I was in this massive 2,900 square foot home, massive to me. I lived in the loft of that house, 3-story house, and I spent pretty much every day alone. And I would watch VHS tapes of a classroom that was taped. Like every classroom was taped. And so like Mrs. Hicks taught my science class, and Mr. McBride was my history teacher. And but the tricky part, the internet wasn't really a huge thing back then. And so you could handwrite a teacher. I mean, okay, and you could, not in our home. And so, conservative homeschool. So you could handwrite a teacher in Florida if you had a question about your assignment.
Oh, so these were like real people? I thought they were like discovering some sort of
not-
like ancient VHS.
No,
That's Mrs. Hicks.
she's real. She's
I just picture
certified.
like this black and white
and
video
real.
from the past.
was
like
my-
creepy sitting in the upper room. Like, this is so weird.
This is my real life, Jazz.
I'm sorry, go on.
They're nice. This is our first meeting.
Mrs. Hicks is great.
Yeah, she was a great lady.
So you were handwriting Mrs. Hicks.
I never did. But the point was, high school for me was in a room by myself with VHS tapes. And if I didn't understand something, I literally wasn't going to waste my time, so I would fast forward it. So, math.
This is unique. I'm just gonna say.
Some could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally, that was all of high school for me. And then I played baseball for Cedar Valley High School. And everyone tried to convince me to come to school. And they'd ask me, they were so fascinated. They asked me all these questions. Everyone thought I was Mormon. Everyone thought like I had the best life because I woke up kind of whenever, woke up alone, and then watched videos for school. And so I would try and gauge where I was, like based on them, and I thought I was doing okay.
You kind of quiz them with some math problems.
Yeah,
Sneak in a few
every now and then I'd be like, wow, I think
So
I
who
think
was
I'm
the
fine.
37th president? Do you know? Or?
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't.
Okay, good. See, exactly. So
Absolutely not.
I was doing fine. I was also in this thing called Bible quizzing. You guys familiar?
I'm assuming
guys
that
lived real lives.
it's pretty self-explanatory.
It essentially was, and but it turns out you could travel if you got really good at it. So sophomore year, I made my way to Chicago. I was quizzing at the National Invitational Only Quizzing Tournament, representing the Washington Pacific, which is of course Alaska, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. And so there I was, and this guy named John, he was a senior, I was a sophomore. There were 1,000 people there. And he could quote the Gospel of John, which was our focus for that year. Verse by verse, he could quote it backwards, verse by verse, in under an hour.
No.
Yeah, 21 chapters long. And so,
Oh my gosh.
that
Was this
blew
guy
my
on
mind.
your team, or was he
No,
one of your opponents?
he was not on our team. No, we lost. And so, but
Well,
me...
yeah. I mean, with someone,
Well,
how
hold
can
on.
you beat that
Yeah.
guy?
Well, it takes a team. Anyway, so me and my good friend David, also homeschooled, we realized we had a lot of time and we had the Bible. And so we spent the next couple of years, that's all we did. And so 2 years later was the next invitational. It was our senior year. And we won. We beat Richmond, Virginia
Dude.
in the finals. You could lie.
That's how I know his name.
Yeah. It used to be if you'd Google my name, it would pop up like quizzing.
There you were.
I make it sound like a big deal. It's super nerdy and pretty in-house.
Was there
Hey,
a
it's
prize?
impressive to me, man. It's
There were
impressive
some
to me.
scholarships, but then I thought that was cool, and then I realized they also did a dunk contest, and they gave away the same amount of scholarships. And there were 3 people that competed in the dunk contest.
Like basketball dunk?
Uh-huh.
And you can
Same
basically just walk
wait,
up and
same
put it in
organization?
Yeah, I was like through Olivet Nazarene University in Chicago.
This is blowing my mind.
was
Bible
a-
quizzing and dunk contests.
You know.
You know he's just a man of mystery when he wins the
I
Bible
am-
quizzing and then he goes and
There's
just
a team-
dunks on a bunch
Did
of
you
these
win the dunk
clowns.
contest?
I didn't enter. I didn't know it was
Okay.
a thing.
Oh
Yeah.
darn! I thought you were going to be double dipping a little.
That
bit.
would have been awesome. It was literally like $100 scholarship.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
College tuition is more than that.
Well, back in the
Yeah.
VHS days, that's probably like $1 million in today's money.
It could have been.
It was a lot. Yeah. VHS. Yeah. So there you go. So that was a look into my high school. So when I hit post high school,
You're
It's
like,
taken
my
a long
brain is
time.
so full of the Bible. I have to.
It was so
there's
full of the
only
Bible.
One way to go at this point.
and yes, ironic story. The following year, I was in my loft reading the Gospel of John, and I closed my Bible and didn't touch it for a year. A lot of things happened that year. But I went to community college, had no idea how to take classes.
Why did you close it?
Let's
dive deep. Let's
Yeah,
dive
here we
deep.
go. Forget the rest of it. I was so burned out. I could memorize about a 50-verse chapter of the Bible in 2.5 hours and say it back word for word. And I'd done that for years. And so I got to this point of, I'd grown up in the church, and God was very gracious to me. And there's no buts after that sentence. I just got to the end of this very, it's funny at the intro talking about killing robots. Someone once called me a Christian robot.
Okay.
That I encountered, just like some guy I never met. That's a whole nother story. And it kind of took me, I was taken aback because he was right. But I was kind of offended, and then kept talking just like a program person. And I had hundreds of verses memorized, in books. And so when I hit 19, it was the first time I think I had a choice, in my mind anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to go meet new people. And I had a 1987 Honda Prelude with the flip-up lights,
Let's go.
They shot different ways. And I just took that car and went over the Skagit Valley and met new people and was trying to take classes and figure out a lot. So it was a pretty rough time. It got pretty dark there for a while, but it was hard for me also to live that life and open a Bible.
Yeah.
So it was easier to close it at the time. So I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. So it was just full Bible and then nothing for a solid year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, you want me to keep going? So
Keep
it was
going.
college. It was college for 3.5 years. Community college. I was trying to get a 2-year associate's degree, and I did. Took me 3.5 years to get it. I didn't understand grades. I'd never done grades before. So I didn't know, if you get a C, that's okay. You can take the next class.
Right.
So I remember taking a summer class because I got in this grade. And I was like, I have to retake this class, which I did. I got the same grade. And so I lost money my summer, got the same grade. And then eventually, after 3 years, my dad sat me down. And there had been no explanation. I just was trying to figure out school. I'd write a paper, I'd print an article online, and then read it for a presentation. And it took me a couple quarters, and then this lady, Ann Will, who was this history teacher, she spoke about this thing called plagiarism. And I was listening so intently one day, and I was like, that's how I passed last quarter. And I had no idea what it was.
This is amazing.
And so I didn't do as well in her class. And so after 3 years,
She had to teach that course on plagiarism just because you were in a class.
yeah, apparently
Think
someone
how small
was.
the internet was at the time.
There's
There's a limited
fascinating.
number of articles.
Remember the computer lab? Yeah. No one had laptops. We were just all going to this room, gathering, waiting for an opening.
And you're just printing other people's stuff, and then
5 minutes before class, I'd be like,
That's amazing.
what's my topic
You're
again?
like, this is so easy.
And it worked.
Oh, it worked great. I
incredible.
have a specific memory of Angelica Hernandez was in the back. I was reading, and she was just that was the best presentation we've had. I thought, I don't know why it's so difficult. So it was large learning curve at college.
Okay.
You're like, I can't rewind this. What's happening? I don't remember what she just said.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is this taped?
Yeah.
Can I get the
Can I get the
VHS?
VH copy of that? So there you go. 3 years, my dad was he's like, Wes, you should probably see a counselor. And I thought he meant a shrink. And I was like, Mom and I are fine. What's your deal? And then I realized there's people at the school who can kind of navigate you through. Mm. So I go into this lady, and I just met my current wife. I was like, look, I need to have a plan. I really want to marry this girl. I got nothing going for me. I'm working at Big 5 Sporting Goods, and I've been here a long, long time. All my friends have graduated. I would just make new friends, and then they would graduate too. And so this lady's like, Wes, you need 90 credits for an associate's. You have over 120. You could have been out of here. You've retaken classes. You've taken things that fit nowhere. You can laugh, it's fine. And so she goes, Wes, for a year, you've needed one class. And I was like, great, I'll take that class.
That would have been great to know.
Wasn't it? So I took it. I graduated with a solid 2.0.
Nice.
Yep, and which I learned isn't actually that great once
Right.
and so that was it. And then I ended up going to Multnomah. I met my wife right in that time, which is a crazy story, and then I applied to Multnomah because no state school would take me, and all I had in my mind was I wanted to go into business and open a hotel because I like people and I liked cable, and so I thought I'll combine them. I could run a hotel, and so that was literally my plan.
Seriously?
And, yeah.
That's amazing.
I'd still anyway, the hours are rough, but the only people that take my money is a small Christian school because they're great school.
They're like, don't worry, we have tons of homeschoolers here.
Basically, yeah.
We're grace-based, not grades-based.
Yes.
Justification by grace alone, not grades alone.
Yeah, so.
Do they actually not give out grades at Multnomah?
No, they
No,
totally
they
do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Like, why were you studying so hard?
Wait a second. Yeah, you would have enjoyed the Christian video on that little line way more if you would have known. Our grades didn't matter at all. So that's how I got into school, got married, and there's a lot more to be said in that. Obviously, my wife is my best friend, and I could talk about that for a long time. But there you go. That was kind of my intro into the Bible and how to. So it's like I encountered the Bible again, and I was like, I've kind of done this already, and but I met Ray Lubeck. I was, Carrie McPherson totally shaped my life, and because those people said, "Hey, this is how you read it," and that just unlocked this huge door, and it was like this massive breakthrough for me. So,
Cool.
I had this new passion again to read the Bible, and had great mentors who, introduced me to ministry and what it looked like to serve, and then trying to be married and all that. It was very humbling, but it was also incredibly good. So, yeah.
So then the next question is, how did you become a pastor?
Yeah, I was given opportunity to try, and so to get to Multnomah, some lady right after I had come to saving faith in Jesus, I think for the first time, a lady came up to me.
At Multnomah?
No, right before, when I realized the hotel thing wasn't going to work out.
Okay. So you feel like that's when you became a Christian?
Yeah,
It
when I was
even
21.
after years of memorizing the Bible.
Yeah, and here's
Still
why.
not saved.
People have pushed back. I'm like, it's my story. Push back on something else. But
Yes. Like, tell it.
yeah, I'll speak at a camp or something. They're like, I think you were saved as a kid. I was like, but, and the reason is,
I literally met you 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like,
are you going to pay me or not? So, that's why I do ministry. But, when I was 21, is the first time, this is central to the gospel. When I was 21, I realized I was a sinner.
Okay.
And before I was 21, no joke, I thought I was Tim and Chiquita's son. I'd done all these things. I was the Awana kid. I was the Bible quizzing kid, and I was nice enough kid. Mm-hmm. And when I was 21, I lived these couple of year and a half of clearly it couldn't just be explained away. And in my own life and mind, I knew, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. Mm-hmm. And so in the month of January, 12 years ago, I sat down, and that was the first real conversation I had with God. And I said, I'm tired of, I was going to church the whole time because I didn't know what else to do on a Sunday. And, but it was eating me alive with the shame. No one knew what I was doing. And so I couldn't do it anymore. And so I finally said, Lord, I realize my issue, and I've been running from you. And so, but in the moment I said, you either need to harden my heart so it's not difficult for me to do this, or you need to show up and help me. And so that whole afternoon, that's the first time I cried out and said after that, I'm in sin and I can't take care of it myself, and I need you to intervene. So I wrote out my testimony on our Windows 95 desktop and waited 30 minutes for it to print. 2 copies. So an hour later, I went up and I gave a copy to my mom and dad, and I expected them to ask me to move out.
Wow.
It's the first time I'd seen my dad cry since his dad died, and he told me he was proud of me, and he loved me. And so that was a game changer. So then I was like, well, what do I do? I was 21, and I didn't know what to do. It took me so long to get through community college, And I didn't know what to do. And then I met Amanda shortly after that, my wife. And this lady approached me and said, you don't really know me, but I feel like God wanted me to come over here and tell you about Multnomah. Boom. So I was like, you're weird. And then I Googled what Multnomah was. And I applied. And I applied for student ministry because I thought I had too much sin in my life to apply for pastoral ministry.
Yeah, just be the youth guy.
Yeah, it's like, I'll just do youth. And I literally did that until I was in line at the registrar's office, and I met this super weird guy, and he was creeping me out, and I said, what major are you? And he goes, I'm a youth ministry major. And I was 22. I was there with my mom registering for classes, because that's what you do when you grow up homeschooled.
Absolutely.
And I looked at my mom, and I'd already sat with Rob Hildebrand, and I signed up, and I go, I'm switching majors. And so I did. I got there, I said, here's my paperwork, I want to switch to pastoral.
I'm not going to do
Because
that.
of-
I don't want to be with that guy.
Because of this, yeah. And
That's amazing.
But he had the last laugh. It turns out he was a senior. It was my first year. We were roommates. So,
That's too good.
and we ended up having a really good relationship. But he's the reason I switched majors.
Okay, can you name him here?
Brian Haney, I love you to death.
Okay.
You totally weirded me out
That's amazing.
all those years ago. And so, but I was so thankful I switched. Like, it was just God. You asked me how I became a pastor. I started serving with middle school kids because they bounce back apparently quicker than anyone else. And I didn't have a car, and you had to serve. And so I went to the church across the street, Central Bible. I met this incredible guy, Sean Tankley, who he just had this passion for interns, unlike other people I've met in ministry. But he had a strong passion for interns, and he let us try. And he encouraged us to teach and to take kids out and to be creative and to think through and just to teach the Bible. And so we were bad at it. There were a couple of us. We were so bad. We're so bad at it. My first lesson was 4 minutes long, and I did the seeds on the different soil. Mm-hmm. And I forgot.
Classic.
Yeah, I was like, and I was like, and the seed are
That was my first sermon.
people. Or Wes, there you go. It was awful. This guy came up to me later, and he's like, yeah, you misidentified what the seed was. He's like, that was the word of God. And I was like, I see. And he so anyway, I was super bad at teaching, but Sean let us try, and it was awesome. So
Absolutely. You gotta take a swing, man.
yeah, you have to. So for 3 years, I interned at Central Bible, and just kind of fell in love with ministry. And my wife found a job on Craigslist my senior year at 10 hours a week. And so we moved, and I started working in a church 10 hours a week. So yeah, it's crazy. And just through that process, I could keep talking for a long time. I should just stop. But that was my start into becoming a pastor.
Yeah.
Very limited, very small.
What was your first paid job?
That was it.
And what were you? You youth
I
pastor?
was the youth director, the part-time youth director in a Presbyterian church. I'd never been to a Presbyterian church. I found out, I was like, I think they believe in Jesus. And so I was like, I was reading their website, and my wife...
I think they believe it.
it was on Craigslist, so it was kind of tricky there for a while. And so...
They also drink beer.
Oh, I didn't know.
The Presbyterians.
That's a whole nother story. Yes. So that was it. And there was one student, and the entire team of, there were like 7 people who hired me. They all left the church the following week. They didn't tell me that. So everyone who had worked with the youth and who had led it in the absence of the last guy literally left the church the following week. And
Wow.
I saw them one time out in town, like at a grocery store. Yeah, so it was one kid. I literally had one student, Aaron Dowd, and I was just the best man in his wedding a few months ago.
Nice.
Like my kids call him Uncle Dowd. And so, yeah, we would just hang out and played a lot of ping pong. And it was great though. So that's where I learned, it was him. We eventually grew to 2. I mean, we grew by...
Dude, that's 100%.
100% growth. I mean, things were booming for a while. Dane Dudley, he now has an album. He went to Hillsong.
Okay.
He would lead worship. Aaron would do audio video. I would do the soundboard, and my pregnant wife would be in the crowd. And Dane, bless his heart, as they say,
Amazing.
And we had because the guy before us had put a lot of money into it, and they
Yeah.
had a lot of kids, and then somehow when they'd all left, but Dane was there. He was like, so he would lead worship and he'd sing these songs, and then he'd be like, you know what, guys, and he would speak, and then we'd look around and be like, dang, it's just us, like. But he would lead us through these incredible worship moments, and that was it. So yeah, that's how I started.
That
Me
is
and
absolutely
Aaron,
blessing
and then
me.
eventually Dane. Until one day, no joke, I get there and I go to teach. It's hard to teach to two people.
It is rough.
It's very rough. And I sit down to teach, and Dane sits forward and goes, "What are we doing?" And I was like, "Oh, thanks for your honesty." He eventually left too. But
Back to one.
so we were back down to one. I would like to say we ended with 11 kids, if you count
Okay.
the 2-year-old who,
Okay.
Naomi, she would sleep in the back. Her brother and sister would come. But yeah, so that's how I started being a pastor. And then I went from there with a student of 1, and I went immediately from there to Arizona, a church of 10,000 people. That was my next job. So that was like...
That is the opposite end of the
It was the
spectrum.
opposite, and I literally couldn't comprehend what was happening. So
There you were a youth pastor, and you had like how many kids at that point? Like
at the start, I was in a church plant. I don't know, maybe 20, and then after
like a campus plant of this thing? Or
yeah, it was the
the
5th campus.
Okay.
So I have 5 campuses. This new one, we met literally. The youth group was in a bar at a country club golf course. And there was this on tap, you had to watch kids, like, it's just alcohol on tap. Anyway, it's fantastic.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah,
The
that's
Wild West.
how they rolled. So that's where I started. After 10 months, I went to the main campus and was the high school pastor. So there I was. There were like 40 kids when we got there, like 100 kids, and just high school. It was a ton of fun. Huge. I tell people I grew up there.
Yeah.
That's where I just learned a lot about myself and ministry, and
Wow.
people were very gracious to me and let me try again. That's kind of a theme in my life. But
How long were you there?
almost 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then back to Washington to Chehalis, which I noticed you guys are off Chehalis Street. It's kind of brings me
Yeah.
back.
There you go.
Chehalis by Olympia. It's where the outlet malls are
Mm.
in Centralia there. And so I did student ministry there for almost 3 years again, and before coming here.
And then and what are you doing here?
Yeah, so now I've been in student ministry for 10 years, and I came here last October, and this is the first transition. So I'm an associate pastor now, and my main responsibility has been just to meet people, build relationships, and then putting energy into starting a 3rd service where I'll teach at that service and just kind of be giving oversight to that. So
A
yeah.
lot of community, a lot of discipleship.
yeah, a lot of what's your name
Groups,
again, and you want to
maybe,
get coffee, and just trying to figure that stuff out. So.
And what's the size of that church?
It's a great question. Probably 250, maybe close to 3.
Yeah.
So size-wise, it's not a wow, we're blowing the doors off. Let's do a 3rd service. It's just a different approach to.
It's actually bigger than most churches, though. Just statistically.
Yeah,
I mean,
statistically,
yeah,
what's the average? 80.
something like that.
Yeah. So it's a great size church, and the guy who asked me to come, he just had this idea of creating space for people and knowing your people, and is very intimate in his leadership, and he realized he didn't know everybody, and so, which is fine, it was just his view of ministry and his approach. He goes, I think you'd fit well. We teach kind of the same. We're both relational in that sense. Would you like to come and be a part of the team? And so, so we talked about it and prayed about it a bunch and joined the team. It's been awesome. So there's 3 of us, 3 pastors and our wives. And it's the best.
Awesome.
So, it's great. One shared workspace. So we all just hang out, and it's hard to get work done sometimes, but it's also great. So so that's where I'm at
Highly relational.
now. Highly relational.
That's the best way to do ministry.
Yeah, it's great. So so that's a snippet. We kind of bounced around quite a bit in ministry, but it's been fantastic. It's been great.
And how old are you?
33.
Okay. And how long you and Amanda been married?
10 years.
10 years.
This July was 10 years. We were going to go to Europe for 10 days, and then something came up in the family, so we had to cancel that. We went to Leavenworth for 2 days. That kind of got moved around. But we had 1 day in Leavenworth, which is basically like being in Europe. On a
totally.
Much smaller scale.
Europe or Leavenworth for 1 day. I mean, it's exactly like Europe for 10 days.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same. So, yeah.
You know,
Wow.
they say it's better 1 day in Leavenworth than 1,000 elsewhere.
That's not the phrase. But yes, that's the idea.
I'd rather be a door holder in Leavenworth than. Wait, never mind.
Yeah. Oh, ministry jokes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, that is a journey.
What a journey, someone
From
call it. Yeah.
Bible quiz champion
That's got a good ring.
to mega church youth pastor and back again.
Yeah, they're
Not
back
to the Bible
again.
quiz champion, but back to, I don't know, back. I mean, no, that's
It's
not right.
a coming back.
It's a journey.
Are you a
It's a-
Bible quiz
it's a-
champion
it's a journey.
today?
I think once a Bible quiz champion, always. I've dropped that out there. It really gets you no credibility.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know.
Did you get a trophy or anything?
Oh,
Like a golden Bible?
No
A golden calf.
No golden Bible.
golden
no,
calf.
no tablets. No calf. Exodus 32. That's a good one. But
More Christian jokes.
yes, lots of trophies. They are thrown away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Done.
So, yeah.
Okay, we have some prepared
Okay.
material. We are through the first two questions.
And if anyone's still watching,
Yeah.
Giles will take you to coffee because
Oh, dude, we don't take
we're
anyone
at
to coffee.
we're
bro.
at the
We're not those
20-minute
kind of
mark, maybe.
pastors.
Yeah.
You've seen our office, man. We are basically coders,
Yeah.
passing as pastors.
It's kind of true.
Dude, this has been very interesting. This is quite possibly my favorite.
Your favorite guest appearance so far?
You've been easily the best one we've had, but this story has absolutely blessed me.
This is
bro.
amazing.
Oh, good.
Okay, we are going to move. I'm just going to make this call. We're at 47 minutes. We are going to move into another episode. I think we should.
Oh my
I think we
gosh.
should do
Two-parter?
a part 1, part 2 with Wes.
Well, that'll leave him
Love it.
hanging.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to close this one down. You will see part 2 next time. Peace.